This week's episode is sponsored by Cook Unity, and if you listen to this podcast regularly, you know that I'm obsessed with Cook Unity. If you haven't yet checked out Cook Unity, they're the most convenient way to get a wide variety of affordable restaurant-quality food from award-winning chefs. Oh yeah, I said award-winning chefs delivered right to your door. One that I recently had that I was absolutely in love with was their vegan chorizo chili mac and cheese. I love it so much. It is so delicious. Make the best meal plan ever with the convenience, chef-level quality, and endless variety of Cook Unity. Go to cookunity.com/BCC or enter code BCC before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using BCC or going to cookunity.com/BCC. Welcome to the chain. This is the BCC Club. We're your hosts. I'm Kendahl and Sarah.
And I'm Sarah Shower. Each week we go down an internet rabbit hole and discuss what's in that hole. What are we digging into today, Kendahl?
Today we are talking about Chappell Roan.
Yeah.
Wow. It's really wild. She's so famous now.
She is. Actually overnight. And I think that's really fucking cool. Yeah.
It's truly wild. It was bizarre the other day. So I saw Fletcher in concert maybe a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. I can't remember. Whenever JoJo Siwa and Avery Cyrus were starting to date, that's when I saw Fletcher. That's the only timeline I have. But when we were there, Chappell Roan was opening up for Fletcher.
Shit.
And I didn't know that until the last week. Because I remember seeing her and just being like, oh, she's fun.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think anything else about it. And then Jordan was like, yeah, that was Chappell Roan. And I was like, wow. Very cool.
Yeah, I knew about her before she blew up, but this is not in a pretentious way. I was working with Spotify on some sapphic playlist because they needed more options, and I put Naked in Manhattan on there. I think the playlist, if you guys want to check it out, is cool gay songs to play in case someone mistakenly hands me the aux, And so I've heard of Naked in Manhattan, but everything else I was new to. I just knew that she had a really interesting way of singing.
Yeah, very interesting and it's very reminiscent of the 80s, I feel like, and a very cool, I don't know, I really like it. I'm obsessed.
I do too.
I was telling Jordan too the other day, I was like, I really hate when people start hating on someone for being really famous. Do you know what I mean? Where she got so popular and everyone listened to her music, and now it's anytime you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Apple Music or whatever, it's always recommended her music. And I started seeing people just be like, I'm over this. And I'm like, was that her fault? So that they were mad at her for being so popular. And I'm like, that's so interesting.
Yeah, I do want to do a podcast episode on the term industry plant, because the thing is it has some legs, but it's also incredibly sexist because it's only applied to women. Yeah. And if you look at Chappell Roan's entire music history and work, she has been doing this for a solid 10 years. Yeah. So her blowing up is not a industry plant thing. It's literally hard ass work.
Well, and what is an industry plant? Because I'm kind of well, they don't just pick. Would an industry plant be considered just anybody who almost cold auditions for a thing, and then the industry pretends that they naturally came about?
I looked it up because I didn't want to mess it up, but industry plant is a pejorative used to describe musicians who become popular through nepotism, inheritance, wealth, or other connections in music. So you usually see it with more nepotism babies.
Well, Taylor Swift is technically then an industry plant.
Okay, we're gonna enter maybe. This is interesting, but Taylor Swift's dad, for her first album, he bought hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of copies. Okay, sorry, I don't know why I whispered.
Yeah, as if I was what? No, I know, but also,
here's the thing: she's also a hard worker.
Yeah, good thumbs up to the camera.
You guys can't see
if
me
you're listening.
Yeah,
Sarah looks deeply panicked and scared, and is holding 2 thumbs up to the camera. Well, there's something about, I don't know the details, but both her parents were in the industry in some capacity and paid for her to be. It has nothing to do with if she's talented or not. It's just that would be considered an industry plant. But I'm most people probably are a little bit of an industry plant. You know what I mean?
Because
you have to get to a certain point for the industry to want to plant you. Unless you're like a Taylor Swift.
Well, I mean, that industry plant means you're born related to someone in the music. But like, I mean, and then people misuse it for someone who's been in the business so long and then gains connections.
Yeah, which is just.
And then that's just networking.
I know. I had this the other day where I had to be reminded that I like wasn't a nepotism baby from myself. Because I like think there's times where you'll like, you know, you have an internet following and then you'll get an opportunity that you're like, well, I only got that opportunity because I have followers on the internet. And I was like talking about it and Jordan was like, you're talking about this like you're a nepotism baby.
Yeah.
But they're like, that's your work. Like you did that. Yeah. And now you're using a connection you made by yourself isn't nepotism. And I was like, oh, I guess that's true.
I like these things are not the same, but I think about it like influencing is like a highly feminized industry. And so like people are like, oh, you know, being a content creator isn't real work. It is real work. And we really got to frame it that way for the sake of the kids. But also like think of influencer like in the realm of stay-at-home mom where like we're not taking care of children. I mean, it depends how parasocial we want to get. But like everyone's like, oh, moms just hang around all day and they don't. It's like, well, there is actual labor going on just because you've disqualified it from being like, you know, traditional or feminine. Like it's feminine. It doesn't mean that it's not. Because the thing is everyone can pretty much go viral if you have a camera at the right time. But sustaining it, or like anyone can clean their house, but to maintain a house and a family is work. Whether it registers in your eyes or not. Yeah.
Well, and I guess just like a stay-at-home mom, there are good moms and there are bad moms.
Oh, yeah.
So there are moms that are stay-at-home moms that don't really do a lot because they're lazy. And or they're just like bad people. I don't know. And they like still don't make their kids breakfast or lunch or dinner and their kids are all having the worst time of their lives. But then, you know, I guess that could be similar to influencers. But the only difference is if you're a bad mom, you still have kids. And I think bad influencers just kind of fade out slowly.
Or they get incredibly popular.
Ooh, like who?
I mean, it could be.
Say their name. I'm just kidding. I don't have anyone. I can't think of anyone, but.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, I think.
They have to keep making stuff.
Yes.
Even if it's bad. They have to, like, keep showing up.
Yeah, and then we could look at the hybrid realm of people who are stay-at-home mom influencers. Because there are some that can be ethical about it and some that absolutely exploits their children.
You hear that the LeBrant fam announced they're done having kids.
Thank God.
And Cole LeBrant's getting a vasectomy. I watched the full 30-minute video, and I will say it was very funny. They seemed so tired and panicked because they just had their 5th kid. I think.
Oh my God!
Wait,
do you want me to look it up?
Zealand. I hate that I know
their names.
Everly Posey, Zealand, Sunday Blue. That's 5. Yeah, they just had their 5th kid.
Jesus Christ!
And the fear in their eyes in this video, they were just basically like 5 is a lot worse than 4. And we're glad we have our son, but Cole's getting a vasectomy this week.
Good.
They're also so, as they're saying this though, they're like, but you know, you never know what's going to happen. Like if we accidentally get pregnant, what can we do? And it's like, man, that must suck.
Yeah.
To believe in that and not allow yourself to abort children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or use birth control. I guess she's not on birth control. Like, I don't really understand.
Yeah.
When religious people say that, I'm like, so you just are always raw dogging it?
Or like the pull-out method.
The Bridgerton method.
I've never seen. I still got to see it. But that's interesting. So like in the Bible, I don't know if this is true for like, probably is for Mormonism, but like there's this thing about like, you know, be fruitful and multiply to like fill the earth with like.
Mormons definitely have that.
Yeah. So like they take it very literally. I mean, but they can't guarantee that each one of their children will be Christian.
Yeah.
So therein lies the rub. But so it's really interesting. And also, yeah, like once you get to a certain point, I think we talked about this, like the oldest one gets parentified.
Yeah.
And then it's like, do they have a childhood?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It was also interesting in the video, they were like talking about how they've deleted their kids' social media.
Yeah.
Like all the other, because they used to, each of their babies, the second they were born, would have a social media that would have like a million bajillion followers, which is so weird to follow a baby on the internet.
Yeah.
But they deleted all of those, but they kept Everly's because they were like, which is their oldest daughter, because they were like, well, it's nice because she's a dancer that we know she will always have this career. Like she can just carry these followers into her adulthood. And I was like, oh, so the plan is for her to just never not do this. Like she's not going to get a job. She's just going to do this.
Yeah.
And that is so wild. Like there's just no choice for her. Well, I'm sure there's choice for her, but I mean, when you're a kid, of course that's what you want. Like when I was 10, I would have been like, I want to be an influencer.
Yeah.
And I guess I made it happen.
You didn't.
But that's just so interesting to me.
Yeah, I would if I would I don't this is actually like I've never had this thought before. But like you know how there's like family run businesses or like your dad owns like a car shop and if you have 5 kids, you could like just kind of prepare it for one to take over.
Yeah.
So like when I think of like the family channel, they could prepare it for like someone to take over.
Yeah, which I guess is like
and then
the oldest.
Yeah, or the person, I mean, the kid that wants to, you know? So it's like, instead of like just setting them up with followers for the rest, like try to be like, okay, well, if you want to take over the family channel.
Yeah.
And then I feel like that would be fair.
Yeah.
Because they didn't really agree, you know, to be on it in the first place. So they get a way to inherit it or reject it.
That's kind of what I guess Shay Carl's daughter did.
Really?
She still vlogs every day.
Yeah.
But she's like, she has her own, but it's her own channel.
Yeah.
They kind of slowly built up as she was growing up. And now she just uses it and like can afford to live in Los Angeles. Which to me, I'm like, yeah, that is like the only compensation that feels fair. Where it's like now she doesn't have to work. I mean, she works because but you know what I mean. She doesn't have to big girl work. She gets to make videos and live in LA and she wants to be an actress. Anyways, I thought that was a good update to share with you that there's going to be no more LeBrant kids. Although they keep threatening to adopt a child from a different country. And I always find it so funny. I mean, we don't even have to get into international adoption, but I always find it funny when couples, I hear it so much with people where they'll be like, well, one day after we have all of our kids, we want to adopt a kid. Like after. Like, which I've always thought is so interesting. And that's what they kept saying in the video. They're like, well, we have 5 kids, but we've always said we want to adopt. And they used to say that all the time, but then they just kept having kids themselves. And then now we're kind of like, maybe later in life. And I'm like, to me, that's so weird to have all your kids and then later adopt a kid. I'm saying it's bad. It's just an interesting thing to kind of be like, well, we want to do this first and get the real experience. And then we want to adopt a kid. I'm like, ew, it's bad vibes. I don't know.
Oh, no, it is. Like, I think I've said this. My parents, like, I mean, there's 3 of us, but then my parents, like, when my sister was, like, around 10 or 12, were like, what if we adopted a kid? And Jake or Hannah had no idea that I did this, but I literally went apeshit, being like, you cannot bring another child. And it wasn't like I was jealous. I was like, I am taking care of everyone here.
Yeah.
You don't understand. When mom gets deployed,
you had a baby Bjorn on. You're shaking Hannah up and down.
I'm like, it's literally me because dad just works.
Yeah. Oh, man. No, it's so wild. To me, I'm like, why would you choose that moment? That's just such an interesting, I don't know. I would not think, to me, it's either or. Like, I'm like, having a kid, I don't care what, if I would decide to, I would pick what way to do it. But it feels wild to be like, well, I'll just do all 3 ways to have a baby.
Yeah.
I'll have 5 of my own and then start adopting. I'm like, what? That's wild.
Oh my God, wait. I would love to know if there's a family where they did every single method of conception.
Sure.
Like they did like in vitro, they did adoption. They like went like they did natural. Like I would be like, what was this strategy for this? what happened?
How much money do you guys have?
Yeah.
Wild. Okay, Chappell Roan.
Oh yeah.
Wait, how was your week?
It was good.
Give me a quick rundown.
I got 7 cats now, but 5 are fosters. It's been difficult. They're all on meds.
They don't have fleas.
No, they don't. Like the mom got 10 types of medication. The kittens had a follow-up vet appointment. I'm in contact with a rehoming, ethical cat adoption agency, and she's been working with me through it. And so then yesterday, the only thing is that all the kittens started to stand up, and I was like, oh, I forgot that you guys can walk around. And so I was used to 3 cats walking around, but now 7, I can't do it.
Are they cute?
They are.
Do you really want to keep one?
Naomi does, but I can't.
You can't.
I can't do it.
It's just like the adoption story all over again. You're like, I don't have time.
I love that, but no. And then just this morning, I told Kendahl this. If you see me scratching, it's because I'm paranoid. I was driving here, minding my own little business, and then a spider dropped from the rear view, and I like drove like around like a crazy person, and then I thought I killed it, but I'm not sure. So you know when you think that you got bitten, and now you're just itching everywhere, but it's nothing.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
How are you?
I'm so sorry. I'm good. I feel good. I feel really good, actually, because I feel like I'm finally back to my regular scheduled programming.
Yeah.
Like, because we were out of town for VidCon.
Yes.
Which is fun, but it's weird because it is work. Like, you're there for work, but you also can't do any of your other work. So you feel like I left VidCon being like, I am so behind on work in a way that feels so insane. And yet I feel like I've also been working all week. You know what I mean? So had a lot of fun, though, at VidCon. It was always a good time. And then I went straight from VidCon to Maine for 4th of July. Mm-hmm. Well, not for 4th of July, but it happened to be 4th of July.
Yeah.
And that was fun. My friend is from there. And so we went and saw his family. And then we like rented an Airbnb lake house. Nice. And it was so fun. I love being in a kayak so much.
Really?
I'm like, I want to live on a kayak.
Yeah.
I could kayak for hours, which is crazy because it's pretty intense arm workout.
Yeah.
Which I don't have strong arms, but whenever I'm doing a kayak, I could do it infinitely. I just have so much fun. And I was like, well, if I lived on the lake, I would go out on my kayak and I'd eat breakfast on my kayak. I really loved it.
Yeah.
And I was like, should I buy a lake house? And which I can't do, by the way. I'm not like, I don't have that type of money just sitting around. But I was like, should I buy a lake house? And then I had a whole existential crisis because I was like, well, when I retire, I'll get a lake house. But I was like, what if you don't make it?
What?
To that age.
You could get a timeshare.
What is that?
It's like where you it's like you don't, I mean, you share the property with someone else, but you get it for a certain portion of the year. Yeah.
Maybe I'll do that. Well, maybe I could save up for a lake house, but I was just like, well, I don't really have time right now in my life to take care of a lake house. Yeah. But what if I don't have enough time at all? I would just like, it's so scary sometimes to make plans for your retirement because you're like, am I going to live to see that?
But I feel like you should just kind of not assume that you're going to die. Because, I mean, you don't even need age to die.
I know. That's my point. I'm like, I may not have time to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's so scary because I was like, then I just will never own a lake house. But I don't want to own it. I'm not going to force myself now to have a lake house on the like fear that I might die. But then if I do die, I will never have had a lake house, which is probably fine.
You should own a lake house in Maine because my parents have a lake house in Nova Scotia. And so we could ride the catamaran back and forth and see each other.
And I could spend more time with your parents. A thing you've made me crave through this podcast.
They're not there all the time. It's just like it's there because they didn't buy it. My dad's old boss had no next of kin and was like, I need someone to take it.
I would do that. The thing is, I was just saying before, I think I would buy a lake house in Tahoe, Lake Tahoe, because I will say I'm very spoiled as a little California girl because Tahoe, first of all, it's clear water. Okay. It is colder, but I kind of like that. It's refreshing. It's like a nice bath. Mm-hmm. And it's just clear water. Everything is so beautiful. And they're not really bugs. Like, obviously there are bugs, but there's just not that many. And whenever I go to the East Coast and do anything, I'm like, Jesus Christ, the bugs are crazy. I'm not used to bugs like that. Like in California, it's kind of like ever so often there's a bug. Yeah. And you're like, fuck. Like, it's like really crazy. Yeah. And in Maine, I got out of the car and a huge beetle just landed on me. And I was like, and when we were in the lake, there was a leech. Yeah. Come on. I was like, I haven't seen that since Stand By Me, the movie. I didn't even know they existed outside of that movie.
Dude, those are real.
It was literally like, I've seen that in Stand By Me and The Lost City. Yeah. As comedic relief. Yeah. I did not know those actually existed. There's one on Jordan and it was the first day of the trip and I almost was like, let's just get on a plane and go back home. I can't do this. And we didn't see one the rest of the trip. But I just was like, wow, California is so nice. Anytime I leave, sometimes I have to leave California to remind myself how good it is here. Because you know, you live in the big city, and I'm reading all these lesbian romance novels where they live in a small town, and I'm like, God, should I live in a small town And then I go visit one and I'm like, no, I should not.
Yeah.
Especially really, I mean, a small town that's normal is sweet and fun.
Yeah.
A really small town.
No.
The people, bizarre.
Mm-hmm. And there's no gay communities.
This week's episode is sponsored by Cook Unity. And if you listen to this podcast regularly, you know that I'm obsessed with Cook Unity. I am a terrible chef. You don't have to be a bad chef to use Cook Unity, but I am. And I still have standards. I want to make meals on the regular that make me feel like I am doing a good job as an adult, and Cook Unity does just that. If you haven't yet checked out Cook Unity, they're the most convenient way to get a wide variety of affordable restaurant-quality food from award-winning chefs. Oh yeah, I said award-winning chefs delivered right to your door. Go to cookunity.com/BCC or enter code BCC before checkout for 50% off your first week. They also have a delicious jambalaya pasta and creamy Creole sauce. I love it so much. It is so delicious. Cook Unity is so easy and effortless. You choose from hundreds of meals prepared by award-winning chefs, or let them choose for you if you're too busy. No cleanup or meal planning. Meals are delivered fully cooked. Just heat it up in as little as 5 minutes and enjoy restaurant-quality meals for a fraction of the price. Make the best meal plan ever with the convenience, chef-level quality, and endless variety of Cook Unity. Go to cookunity.com/BCC or enter code BCC before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using BCC or going to cookunity.com/BCC.
But if you want to talk about small town lesbians, do we have a performer for you? So I did, sorry.
Sounds like she's here to sing.
That would actually be so cool. But I do have to apologize for our research, guys. I just kind of threw together some like articles so we could go through her timeline, because we're pretty much all familiar with the singer-songwriter Chappell Roan, our Midwest princess, right? Our lesbian icon. Yeah. You know her first songs like Good Luck Babe, or, you know, Naked in Manhattan, so on and so forth.
Pony Club.
Pink Pony Club, which is an anthem now. But, she joins the ranks of Renee Rapp and now Julia Fox, who came out as a lesbian.
Oh, yeah. Was that real?
Yes.
I didn't know. I woke up. I literally woke up at like 6 a.m. the other day, and that was the first thing that came on my phone. And I turned to Jordan, who was also half asleep, and I was like, Julia Fox is a lesbian. And Jordan goes, that's not real. And that was the most I've talked about it, so I didn't know if it was real or not. But it is.
That does sound like something you would say coming out of a dream.
That's not real. You're dreaming.
Dude, leeches aren't real. Julia Fox is straight. And then you go back to sleep.
But okay, good to know. It is real.
Mm-hmm. I did select an article from 2022, which is before her blow up, which happened this year. You know, I feel like if you saw Chappell Roan before she blew up, she was on tour with Olivia Rodrigo. Please comment down below if you saw it and you didn't appreciate the beauty while it was there. But I did want to read this article and talk about it. It's from October 27th, 2022. Chappell Roan is the independent thrift store pop star ready to take over the world. After releasing back-to-back pop bangers this year, the Missouri native is preparing to drop Casual, which is already going viral on TikTok. Okay, so this just answered a question for me. Missouri is the Midwest. Thought it was the South.
No, that's Midwest.
So this might be an issue with Modern Family, because Cameron Tucker keeps saying, I'm from Missouri, but he always says it, and I guess twangs.
Does he say it in a Southern accent?
Yes. But then I guess it's not really a Southern accent. It's more of a, what's it called when you're out in the boonies?
You would say, I'm out in the boonies.
Yeah. It's like how some people in
the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, like it's like rural accents. Oh, yeah, rural. It's like how people from Pennsylvania or like New York, but not like big cities, they have that accent, and you're like, okay, that's not Southern, but it sounds like us.
Well, I told you that getting your education from Modern Family was not going to be successful.
That's how I learned English.
I know.
So
I told your parents when they decided to do the Modern Family homeschooling that it was not a good idea.
It's not. But, I have to subscribe to Rolling Stone. Fat chance. But when rising pop star Chappell Roan left Missouri for L.A., she thought she hit the jackpot. Born Kaylee Rose Amstutz.
Good God.
Kaylee, Kayleigh. That is...
Woo!
That's how you know she's from Missouri.
Wow, she is not an industry plant.
No,
You don't have that name as an industry plant.
No, that's so cool. Kaylee Rose Amstutz, from Willard, Missouri, grew up feeling stifled by her small, conservatively Christian upbringing. I felt so out of place in my hometown. The now 24-year-old, I guess 26 now. I wish it was better. I wish I had better things to say, but mentally I had a really rough time. I think anyone from a small town can relate. What do? Go to Walmart. Go to your friend's house, sit on that big old green electrical box, hang out in your friend's unfinished basement, and then go to 7-Eleven.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I grew up in a small town.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was the best. I thought it was, okay, and it's like small town isn't small town is a small town, because my small town was like 10,000
That's small.
people.
Yeah.
I think. Well, the county. I don't know. I'm so
okay.
scared.
If the county was 10,000,
the county was
that is
10,000.
a small town.
Yeah, and then but we were next to another county, so it added up to a lot of people. But it's small. I mean, it's a small town.
Yeah.
And I know there are small towns that have like 1,000 people, which is a different ballgame. So I can't speak to that. Like our town had 3 movie theaters, and like it wasn't one stoplight. It wasn't anything like that. But it was small. And I loved it. Like when I was in high school, all you could do was go sit. Me and my friend Dylan would go sit in the Wendy's parking lot and have milkshakes. Sometimes we didn't have milkshakes. We didn't have any money, but we would like sit in the parking lot and just like chat.
Yeah.
And you would like come up with stuff to do. Like we would like make movies, like, and we would just make up. So I feel like it made us be so creative without to fill our time because we had nothing. You couldn't do anything fun. I feel like the kids that I know who grew up in like LA, they were just like, I was always at Six Flags. I'm like, what? That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm kind of glad I didn't have that, because I'm like, that would get old. And also, you're not stimulating a creative muscle. You're just like always at Six Flags.
You're filling a hole.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like small towns, you have to become your own entertainment.
Yeah.
Which I mean, like, is great. She's a small town entertainer, and it's like worked out in her favor. But like, yeah, and I don't know why I feel and if you're an LA native, hell yeah, I love that. But like I saw people like ranking LA high schools, and they're like, oh, this is where so-and-so went, or this is where, and I'm like, that's so interesting.
It also, as an artiste, I feel like could feel unmotivating to be in a big city, because I know for me, I was when I was growing up in a small town, I was on the high school improv team, and I remember feeling like I was famous. Like I was like, yeah, people know what I'm about. People know I'm a comedian, and I was literally an idiot. And I was just like on the high school improv team, no one cared. But it was like you would do one local production, and in your mind as a kid, you're like, I am a celebrity.
Yeah.
So I feel like it would be really unmotivating to not be a nepotism baby and grow up in LA or grow up in New York, grow up in a big city where it's like you're trying to like do your singing. Like there would be girls who like were kind of good singers, and they would be like known in my small town as being like, oh, she's a singer. She's going to be really famous. Like she's such a good singer.
Yeah.
She was just a very normal person. But if you like went to school with, I don't know, a famous person.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single famous person who sings.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you went to school with like Meryl Streep's daughter, it would just feel like unmotivating to me, where I'd be like, well, I'm never going to be as cool as her.
Well, I think it's like 2 types of delusional. Like small town delusional is where you're the best in the small town. So you're like, oh, dude, I can make it in Hollywood. Yeah. And then Hollywood or New York delusional is like, oh, I know people, so I could make it a reality.
Yeah.
Now, if you get discouraged easily and you're not as delusional in either way, then yeah, I feel like you probably wouldn't break into entertainment. You really got to have a strong sense of delusion to get anywhere.
Yes. If I was where mentally I am now, I don't think I would have ever continued doing comedy.
No.
But me in high school carried me far, which was this feeling of true delusion. Like I thought I was famous. Like I was on my high school improv team and was like, yeah, like I am 2 steps away from SNL. I would walk through the like career day room and be like, everyone is like turning to their parents being like, she's gonna be on SNL.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this, everyone thinks this. And it really took me I got a lot of mileage out of that annoying personality trait.
But the thing is, I mean, that's the ignorance is bliss, and sometimes ignorance is the fuel you need to get the hell out of Missouri.
Yeah.
But she was right. That was not ignorance. But discovering the likes of Katy Perry and other pop heavyweights of the 2010s opened up her worldview and inspired her to start writing songs of her own. She quickly caught the attention of major labels and was signed to Atlantic Records when she was 17. choosing a stage name inspired by her late grandfather, Dennis K. Chappell, and his favorite song, The Strawberry Run.
Well, that's sweet.
Yeah, I have no idea. I had no idea what I was going on, and neither did my parents or my parents' friends. It was so messy. I felt very unprepared. I didn't know the consequences of how much I had to sacrifice. I didn't do my senior year. I didn't go to prom. I didn't go to graduation. I missed a lot of what would have been the end of my childhood to do this job. So this is interesting. I remember Troye Sivan actually is probably one of the first people who discovered her because he posted about her music in like 2016.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, like, so he was like, I guess you're like, how does she get signed to Atlantic Records if, you know, she's living in Missouri? I'm assuming her route was the internet.
Yeah.
And if Troye Sivan shared it, most likely she was noticed from the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. The internet, you know, everyone discounts internet, like the internet as like not real, but the internet can be a great jumping off point.
Oh, yeah.
Like it can build material, it can give you life experience and just exposure. And that's what I really like about it. Like if you were trying to get into acting or singing without it, you'd have to suck up to you'd have to really...
I mean, I would debatably say it's impossible.
Yeah.
I, as a person who did that, who tried to be, before I was on the internet, I was a person trying to be an actor. It is impossible. And I think the internet is the only form of like old school discovering of a person that exists. Like now, if you want to, I remember getting out of, like when I went into acting school at 17, I was like, I don't care how much I have to audition. Like I will audition 80 times a week if I have to, which is like so funny because it's like no one is going to ask you to audition like that. And then as I got out of acting school and I'm like desperately trying to get an agent, desperately trying to get a manager, it is truly impossible. You can't even do it. You just like, unless you are so lucky, but for the most part, if you don't have any connections, if you don't have money, I would like, there's like 2% of it that isn't impossible. The rest, I'm just like, it is so hard.
Yeah.
And so when I then was on the internet, and I remember just having people reach out being like, I'd love to hold a meeting with you about having, like, representing you. I was like, this is crazy. Yeah. Like, this is truly insane because I've spent years very hard working to trying to get an agent and manager, like doing everything I possibly could. And no one was interested in any way. So the internet can really launch someone who would not have been able to do that.
Yeah,
before.
I actually want to. I'm reading this this book called Disability Pride because it's Disability Pride Month, and there was this part about like incorporating humor. Like disabled people love using humor, and so without talking about that specifically first, like when I talk to like everyday comedians, they're like, yeah, you got to go on a lot of shows so people can see you. Like don't just do one, you got to do a lot. And so, like, I was like, yeah, but also, like, that's hard. And then I was reading from disabled comedians' perspective. They're like, if you go to a lot of comedy clubs, they're not even accessible. Like, they don't have ramps. Like, comedy clubs are notoriously, like, the stage is small. Yeah. You can't get a wheelchair in the green room. The green room, which is networking. Like, if you can't network and you can't get on stage. And so, like, what the internet has done is, like, it's given a platform, an accessible platform for people who, like, literally could not go on stage. Yeah.
It's amazing. And even just people like in a small town who can't afford to go move to LA, move to New York. It's just very nice. And is like you said, even just time. When people, I remember when I was doing stand up in New York, people were like, well, you got to do it 5 nights a week. And I'm like, I literally am at work. Like what? And it was hard to watch. I remember first coming out of acting school, and there was like 5 kids in my class that I just knew were very wealthy. Like their family's very wealthy. And watching them, like they didn't have to work a job, which this is not bad on them. Like if I could do this, I would have done the same thing. But like they didn't have to work a job, and they their parents would pay for them to take any class. Like they could buy, like you can pretty much buy an agent if you want to. Not a good one, but you could like just pay to go on a showcase and get. And I'd slowly watch these rich kids just start to rise up a little bit because they had so much time. And I'm like, well, if I'm working 5 days a week, no, I can't go do stand up 5 nights a week. But the internet now, I'm kind of like, you don't, as sad as it is that live performance, I think in some ways is nosediving in a little bit. Because people go, because there's the need is less and less. And for the performer, it is so much more work. Like I just did a sketch show and it's like, it is day and night for months at a time. So much work, so much planning. It is so exhausting. And you then perform it for 40 people. And once you've been on the or 200 people or whatever it is, And then when you are on the internet, you're so used to being like, well, I spent an hour doing this and 5 million people saw it.
Yeah.
And how much less work it was. It is hard to go back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it is. And like there's this saying, we have the same 24 hours as Beyonce. Actually, we don't. People don't understand that time is money. And if you have people that work for you that can like save you time, like you were talking about, you know, the rich kids who have, you know, the parents are paying for their like everyone like can see this across every industry. When I went to high school in Northern Virginia, which is right next to Washington D.C., like so many like kids were getting internships.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah, I couldn't do that. I was like, what?
They're unpaid, but the commute and living in D.C. But the thing is it was all paid for, and internships are sometimes required to graduate. So it's like, oh, this is actually so not accessible.
Yeah. And I mean, there were kids in my class who were working 2 jobs. I never did that. Like there was a lot of like, I had a lot of privilege in some ways, but it was frustrating watching some of these kids. You're just like, yeah, I guess if I'm not rich, I just can't do this thing.
Yeah.
And the internet allows people to. I mean, I don't think people realize. Some people are like, it's so hard to go viral. I'm like 100%.
Yeah.
Compared to becoming successful in the industry without it, it's a completely different thing. Like it is so much more attainable to go viral on the internet. There are like things you can do to like push yourself in a good direction of going viral on the internet that like doesn't exist in the industry on its own. Like there's nothing, you're in complete no control. You can work so hard consistently for 40 years and have nothing to show for it in this industry, and that just like doesn't exist on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, even Chappell Roan, like she got signed at 17, but she didn't blow up until this year. And so Troye Sivan, who's like now like blowing up, back in like 2016, he wasn't huge, but like the fact that like she's been working on this consistently online, like building an audience, and that did build to like, you know, real life opportunities, but it did take a lot of time. So it's just, it's really interesting. But it did say up until she released her debut EP, School Nights, in 2017, Roan's supportive parents would fly with their teen daughter back and forth from Missouri to LA or New York. Eventually, Roan flew the coop on her own, moving to LA in 2018. In LA, she discovered a new free life as well as the second shot at adolescence. She was able to dress how she wanted without fear of standing out in the wrong ways, and she was able to live out and proud as a queer woman for the first time in her life. I feel allowed to be who I want to be here. That changed everything. Yeah, I think Pink Pony Club is that anthem. You know, just dancing around. I think Pink Pony Club is about the Abbey.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't there a real...
There's one in Florida.
Called Pink Pony Club.
Yeah, but
right?
I think I think she mentioned in an interview it's about the Abbey. Because trust me, I Googled Pink Pony Club near me. There's lines.
Near me.
there's
Take me there.
No, I wanted to be like, where did she just go? But like, yeah, and so I know there's line dancing for gay people, but that's not the same thing. So yeah, this is just her talking about 2022, like, you know, her view then. But yeah, the translated Roan's LA puppy love into the neon bright Pink Pony Club, a slice of pop fantasia about wanting to be a go-go dancer at famed West Hollywood gay club, the Abbey. Yes. Okay, I need you to warn you guys. If you're not from LA or if you visit LA, the Abbey is not a place. I mean, like, you have got to cover your drinks and make sure your phone is literally
really
like getting roofied is like the most. I've done it. We've all done it. It
sounded like you said roofies. Look, roofing someone. We've all done it.
We've all no, but like getting roofied, like there's a 50-50 chance. And I know that sounds like a joke, but I'm so serious. Cover your drinks, and also your phone could get stolen.
I wonder if it's still like that, because I went there 2 years ago maybe, when I feel like the people were really starting to talk about like, you guys, the Abbey is really, really bad. It's really, really scary. And I feel like it's almost like a joke now that I'm like, I wonder if they did like crack down and we're like, we got to chill, guys, or no one's gonna. Because I feel like they must have lost so much money, because I feel like people used to go there all the time, and now it's kind of like, I would never go there. Yeah,
the only time I go there, it's not the Abbey, it's the Chapel, weirdly enough, which is next door, because sometimes Naomi DJs there.
Oh, sure.
But it's usually for like the sapphic nights, and they do have go-go dancers. It's really fun. But
I used to, when I was a janitor, I worked next to the Abbey, so I walked.
Really?
Yeah. I was a janitor at the gym that's like across the street from the Abbey.
Yeah. So when you get like time off,
I would go and dance.
Yes.
I would perform. Yes.
But okay, so Pink Pony Club was released spring 2022 as the world was shutting down, making it increasingly more difficult for new artists. Dude, that would break my heart. As soon as she released the music in 2022.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there are so many people who I know were like actors or comedians, and they like got their big break like in March of 2022, and I was like, even like her not her competitor, because I don't want to compare women, but Sabrina Carpenter, she got cast in the Mean Girls musical, one show, then COVID, and that was it.
Done. Yeah. Ooh, man, it sucks. Yeah. Ooh, or like Colleen Ballinger, who got something on Broadway and then got canceled.
Really?
I'm pretty sure she said that in something.
That breaks my heart because she deserves this.
It just reminded me of that because she had made a vlog that was like, she was like, I have something exciting going on, but I can't say. And then nothing happened. And then later she, I think, posted something being like, well, yes, I got cast on Broadway. And then I'm like, again? She got cast on Broadway again? That's interesting.
Wait, I did want to say Pink Pony Club gained some traction and attention, but not enough for Roan to be profitable. To be a profitable addition to her label, and they dropped her in 2020. Don't you regret that?
Wow,
now
that sucks.
One of the only artists in history to be moved Lollapalooza stages.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, because when she got booked, she had such a small audience that like they were like it would actually be a huge safety hazard if you were at this small stage.
Yeah,
and got her moved.
Wow.
Yeah, you guys fudged up.
Fudged up. Do you listen to her music?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's
really, really good.
I love any person who's spent time cultivating an aesthetic, and I love when someone is so good at the writing and singing aspect of it. Like,
because it's so rare nowadays. It's like music. Sometimes I'm like, what is music? Because I would never be like, oh, I should be a singer-songwriter because I can't do any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But then you hear of people like Jojo Siwa or, a bunch of people where it's like, well, they can't really sing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not writing the music. Everything's auto-tuned. And they're obviously not doing the actual like instrumentals.
Yeah.
So you are like, what is this then? We could all just do this?
Yeah.
And why don't we?
And
should I drop an album?
You should. But I like it's also interesting, like Sabrina Carpenter is like someone who's like rising as well. Like they're gonna be neck and neck for like best new artist. But Sabrina Carpenter has such an extensive theater, and as does Renee Rapp. Like it's so cool when someone has like a really long ass resume.
Yeah. Where
it's like it shows.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you watch Sabrina when she was on Disney?
No.
That's when I was introduced to her. I was a little old to be watching Disney, but I watched Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Pretty late. So into
this morning you're like eating like Fruit Loops. Yeah. Oh, Sabrina.
No, sometimes I'll just say a show I was watching and people will be like, man, I forget how young you are. And I'm like, yeah, I was watching that in college though, which is on me. So that wasn't really my age. That was just my mentality.
Yeah.
But Sabrina was on Girl Meets World, which is still to this day.
Oh
I think
my
I've maybe
God.
talked about this. Still to this day, a fever dream of a show. I will sometimes look up clips of it because just to remind myself of how insane it was.
Yeah.
It is one of the most insane shows I've ever watched in my life because it is written like slam poetry.
Uh-huh.
And it is so dramatic.
Yeah.
In a way that makes no sense.
Uh-huh.
And Sabrina Carpenter was on that. And I feel like that's where she got. But I think she was before that was just played kids and a bunch of stuff. But she was like always in the industry.
Yeah.
But she's such a good singer.
Yeah.
It's really insane.
Oh yeah.
Some kids you're just like, yeah, they should have been famous. Like,
yeah.
And I know, ethically people can go back and forth, but I'm like, for the most part, no, children should not be in this industry or online.
Yeah.
But ever so often there's a kid like Dakota Fanning where you're like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you should have been in films. Like you should give up your childhood for this because that's what you're made to do.
No, exactly. I do have a 2024 article because that one was from 2022, so I just kind of wanted to read the attitude before she blew up. I mean, the Rolling Stone was still talking about her as, she was successful in 2022.
Yes, totally. Well, I feel like that's everything where there's someone nowadays it's like to be successful, you have to already kind of be successful.
Yeah.
Like anytime someone gets like cast on SNL, you'll go look at it and they're like a famous comedian on the internet.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, they already like had a career
and
then got this thing. So I feel like that's the same with Chappell Roan where people are like, I think a lot of people think she was like living in Missouri 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
No, that's true. Okay, so Naomi, my partner, they're having like, they're about to do their first big collab with like a big EDM person.
Mm-hmm.
And so many records, like labels have been like, we love your stuff. We just need you to get to a certain amount of followers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I think that they're gonna blow up also because I'm in love with them, but like just how hard they work and like the fact that but I was like, the followers, you have to have a certain amount. I mean, they post online to like show their music, but it's interesting.
But that's how, I mean, in the acting business too, that's why it was always so impossible, because you can't really get cast in anything if you don't have an agent. But agents would be like, well, we'll cast you once you have, we'll sign you if you have a really long resume of professional work. And it's like, well, you can't, that doesn't work. And now I've heard from friends of mine who are like commercial actors who've booked commercials, that now it's also that like, well, you have to have a long resume and a lot of followers. Yeah. And so even I have a lot of followers, but I'll have a hard time booking because I don't have professional footage. So I'm like, so you want me to be famous on the internet and have a long list of professional work I've done? Yeah. That would just be a famous person. Yeah. That person should have representation. That's why. But people don't want any creativity anymore. They want to just like,
they want to see it work.
Like I feel like it used to be like people would like, oh, maybe I could picture her in this. But sometimes it'll be like, I don't have a specific example, but it'll be like a show like Grey's Anatomy, for example. And they'll be like, could we see a footage of her in a doctor's outfit? Like, you can't picture that? Yeah. Can we see professional footage of her fully dressed as a doctor doing a surgery? And it's like, that is insane. Yeah. But that's how it is nowadays. It's wild.
That is wild. Crap. I mean, I guess everyone who's applied for a job in the past 10 years can relate to that. Because there's like this, what's that thing when you get caught in a loop of like forms?
Hell.
No, it's like, do you know what the, Catch-22. Like, people will like apply for a job and they're like, you need 10 years of experience in this type of coding language. And people will be like, the coding language has only been around for 3 years. So like, how am I, what? And so, but it's like, that the people hiring just,
I mean, I've literally had, it's like, people will be like, we need a headshot of her dressed as a police officer. I'm like, you can't picture me.
You don't have AI?
I mean, literally. Now I should just use that. But they're all the time. You can do headshots. They're like, have her dress up as a barista, have her dress up as a police officer, have her dressed up as a politician. I'm like, what is this? Yeah. Just look at my face and then imagine me in that. It's really not that hard.
Yeah, do that color matching thing that people do to Kendall's headshot, and then picture what could be there.
So wild. But, so this is an article from 2024.
Yes, this is from Glamour. Chappell Roan is taking the world by storm, but who is she? AKA your favorite artist, with 5 songs on the Billboard Hot 100, a #1 album on the U.S. iTunes chart, and 24 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Chappell Roan is taking the world by storm and ushering a new era of woman-powered, drag-inspired pop music. But who is she? Kayla, she was born February 19th, 1998. 4 years older than her. She's small town Missouri, population of 7,000, grew up in a trailer park with her family, and oldest of 4 children. She got a stage name, but she got her start November 2014, uploaded Die Young, an original song to YouTube. Okay, so she was a YouTuber and then, caught the attention of people. But she was in May 2015, she gets signed. And then she's opening multiple tours for big-name artists like Vance Joy, Declan McKenna, and most famously for Olivia Rodrigo on her Guts World Tour.
Okay, now I'm like, did I see her in 2016?
Did you see it?
Because I saw Vance Joy live in 2016.
You could have seen her.
That would be so wild if twice I saw her and never realized.
Oh my God, and the fact that she could have seen you.
She could have seen me. I was this close to being discovered.
That is so
crazy. For my
crazy.
Beautiful voice. That is really wild. So she's been just working it for a long time.
Oh yeah, she has.
Isn't it wild though that like, I don't know, I'm sure when she got asked to like when she got signed in 2015, right? That's when she got signed. She was probably like, this is it. Like, I am 2 minutes away from being so famous. And then she gets like asked to open up for Vance Joy and she's like, this is it. Yeah. I am about to be so famous. And then it's like,
9 years later, people are like, an overnight sensation.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like sometimes it just takes so long. Like you picture as a kid, you're like, it'll just be one thing.
Yeah.
But it never is. I really remember when Hunger Games came out and everyone was kind of like, Jennifer Lawrence. Who,
Yeah.
I mean, at least I'm sure adults knew who she was, but at the time I was like in middle school. But I was like, they must have just found her on the street and been like, you should play Katniss.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, she'd been acting for years and years and years. It's always just so wild.
No, it really is. But she said despite her success, Atlantic Records dropped her in August of 2020 for not being profitable enough. And if I was Chappell, but I don't know what her house looks like, I would have framed that. You know, I would have, that firing letter, like I would have gotten it framed, and then just my platinum records, I'd have been like
around.
And then I'd take a picture of, like, I'd like pose in an outfit, and then I'd tag Atlantic Records. Yeah.
That's very funny.
And her, she has a feminist fan favorite, Femininominant. This is what you do when you get someone with a reading disability.
Phenomenon.
Femininominant.
It is hard.
Which has over 45 million streams. Femininominant. Everyone at home
I thought
was like,
if I sang it would help, but it didn't.
Femininominant.
I did it.
There we go.
I think.
45 million streams on Spotify. And, you know, she, in February 2023, she embarked on the Naked in North America tour, her debut.
Sounds like a reality TV show about survival.
It's like Cops, but instead of like following police chases, you just go through random cities and find naked people.
I guess I was picturing it more like Naked and Afraid, but I like yours better.
Oh, Naked and Afraid. Just naked. But
trying to survive in Missouri.
In May of 2023, she signed with Amusement Records under Island Records. She released her debut album, The Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess, in September of 2023 and began her second headlining tour, the Midwest Princess Tour, the same month. She has also performed at Coachella, Bonnaroo, the Governor's Ball, and has done a Tiny Desk concert for NPR. Why'd you end with that one? She also was on NPR.
It's just such a long list of podcast interviews she's done.
Oh, yeah.
That's very funny. That's amazing. Yeah, she's killing it.
Yeah, and so this is for JoJo Siwa. What genre is Chappell Roan? Chappell initially debuted with dark pop, but moved away from that in 2020 with Pink Pony Club. Her music is now mostly inspired by 80s synth pop, early 2000 pop, and falls under the indie pop genre. She is credited as the leader in the current lesbian pop renaissance.
Sorry, JoJo. Ooh, that must sting for JoJo.
The thing that renaissance also implies is like second wave. So it's not even like she could have been first. Sorry, JoJo.
Man, you know what's funny about JoJo too is that the other day Jordan was like, JoJo's music's come out, right? And I was like, no.
It hasn't?
No. Karma came out, the single. Her album still isn't out. And I'm like, what a bizarre thing to do. Just like, because I'm like, I'm like, what are they going to come up with to make people talk about her again when this music releases? I've checked Spotify almost weekly if her new music is out. Because I actually, when I saw it live with my manager, I was like, I liked it. Like, I did like it. And so I like looked it up when I was walking to the gym to be like, oh, I would listen to that, and it's still not out.
Yeah, I was looking up if she is like independently, like what is she signed to?
I have no idea.
Oh, Columbia Records. Interesting. Why are they delaying everything so much?
I mean, I don't know, because I think maybe it just like wasn't, but I don't know. I listened to it.
Yeah.
The finalized songs. So I'm like, there was like 3 of the songs.
Yeah.
And I think one of them had a music video with it. Like, it was all done. So I'm like, I don't really know what the deal is. But I'm like, it felt like they did a huge press push when it wasn't about to come out.
Maybe she got such weird feedback for the Karma release that she's like, maybe we should tweak this.
But it's weird because it's like, what is she gonna? I feel like it got exactly the feedback. This is what always surprised me, and I won't get too much into it because I know this is about Chappell Roan.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about a gay icon, we have to roast JoJo a little bit.
Yeah.
But I am like, it feels like what happened with Karma was best case scenario, because it did do really well on the charts, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because people were so like, this is insane, and we're making fun of it, and it was like going viral. I don't know what else they expected. Like, it's not a song that's going to make people be like, this is life-changing. Like, it's not meant to be that. So I'm like, what would they tweak about it? It feels like they were doing the only trajectory that was possible. I don't know.
It's interesting. JoJo, you're a case study.
But sometimes I'll see comments where JoJo's like, yeah, it really, I can't remember where it was, but JoJo will kind of admit to it really affecting her that people make fun of her.
Yeah.
And that's when I get really confused. Where I'm like, wait, do you think you're being normal?
Yeah.
Is this you really? Were you like, this is about to be a really beautiful album that really changes people? Very interesting.
This next sentence, her newest single, Good Luck Babe, discusses compulsory heterosexuality, or comphet, the theory that heterosexuality is assumed and enforced upon people by a patriarchal and heteronormative society. Lesbians? This is actually something I really want to talk about. Okay, there's compulsory heterosexuality and there's compulsory sexuality. And this is why I want lesbians and asexual people to talk more, because I read Ace, the book on asexuality. I don't care if you're not asexual, read that book. But like, it is so cool how like lesbians and asexuals have a very common experience going on. Not saying that lesbians are not sexual beings. That's not even what asexuality means. Is like, we've defined what's a normal way to have normal way, and they've defined like redefined what intimacy is. It's really interesting. Lesbians and asexuals got to talk more.
Why do we love Chappell Roan? Alongside giving us the bops we didn't know we needed, Chappell stands on what she says and stands up for her fans. This is from Glamour, by the way. From her first tour, Chappell provided a platform to local drag queens, booking them for her openers. She personally donates $1 per ticket sold to the nonprofit For the Girls, a Black trans-led collective that fundraises money to help Black transgender people pay for their rent, gender-affirming surgeries, medicine, and doctor's visits, and travel assistance. And she provides fans with a QR code so they can donate also. Her most recent tour has since sold out, with fans and other celebrities praising her and begging her for more dates and bigger venues. Chappell has also been hugely vocal about issues close to her heart. During her Gov Ball set in NYC, she addressed the White House, which had invited her to perform for them. In response to the White House, who asked me to perform for Pride, we want liberty, justice, and freedom for all. When you do that, that's when I'll come. She has also made calls to the government and her fans recently for equality, racial equality, women's rights, trans rights, and peace in Gaza. What about her amazing outfit, Sarah?
I do like that she declined a White House performance, because usually I feel like up and coming artists would be like, oh, hell yeah. But she's like, that's actually so cool that you know that you're that successful, and also you know who you are like well enough that you're like, no, I'm sorry.
And I think probably knows her fans too, because I think her fans probably would not be happy if she went to the White House.
No, yeah, especially during Pride Month.
Yeah, I don't think that would have gone over well. So I also think I'm like very nice, cool of her, but also probably like a smart decision that was based on, fear of getting in trouble too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, she does have amazing outfits. Her looks. She stated that her looks are inspired by drag costumes, makeup, and culture. In an interview with Jimmy Fallon, she stated that she also takes inspiration from horror movies, burlesque, and theater. I love looking pretty and scary, or like pretty and tacky, or just not pretty. I love that too. Now, I love that. Now, we in the gay community would refer to that as camp. She is incredibly campy, and I love how drag can absolutely transform someone, you know? Like, if you guys watch Drag Race, like, you're like, that's not the epitome of drag. But, like, when the performers are out of drag, they almost seem, like, reserved, subdued.
Yeah.
But then when they put on drag, it's just, like, larger than life.
Yeah.
And I love that. I also like the tacky element to her, because when I think about how I want to present myself, like, no one really understands that I want to be a caricature of a woman that you'd see in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, yeah.
And people are like, oh, that's a character. It is, but also, like, if it was, like, you asked me, what's my final form?
Yeah.
I would want to be that.
My final form. Like how you're buried?
Yeah, like, just bedazzle everything. But, like, it's kind of ironic.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's nice when, like, straight people would see me and take me and be like, that woman's an idiot. But gay people would see me and be like, that's good. That she knows how to live.
She gets it. No, I did think of you when I was watching the Jimmy Fallon interview, because she said that about being tacky. And I was like, oh my God, that's what Sarah always says.
What would you say your style is?
Good God. I couldn't even begin to tell you. I think it's really in a transformative time.
Yeah.
Because it's hard when you grow, like, in college, once again, I feel like I always go back and forth. People are probably like, did she go to college or she didn't? I didn't go to college, but I went to acting school. That's what I mean. I guess my college years, when I was like 18, 19,
Yeah.
I didn't have any money. So I like didn't have a style because I like didn't have money to buy clothes.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I just kind of was doing what I did in high school because I didn't really have any room to I just didn't feel like I ever had room to figure out my style. And now I feel like I'm figuring it out and I have some more funds to kind of like buy clothes that I like. But I don't know. To be honest, whenever I see someone dressed like a 11-year-old boy, that's when I'm like, that's what I want to be wearing.
Yeah.
So I think that I like an 11-year-old boy. Like I would love to dress like that and cool. And I would like to be able to dress it up when I need to. But I would say I feel the most confident when I'm dressed like a little boy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they just have like they're not restricted by anything.
Yeah.
Like literally in terms of like rules and movement.
Right. When I look at like, I'm trying to think, like Dill from To Kill a Mockingbird, the film.
Oh, yeah.
I like his style.
People think you're from the past.
His little boots with his shorts. I'm like, yeah, cool. Running around in a tree.
Yeah.
That's what I like. Anything that I could be caught climbing a tree in, that's my style.
I do like the lesbian urge to like use references. Like, I don't know, like, you know, like you're always going for a certain character. Yeah. It's not even like I mean, I guess it could be a vibe. But like, oh gosh. Yeah, I feel like now with more money, I'm trying to dress like nicer. But the thing is I don't know if you feel this. I have this residual like where I feel like I have to wear clothes until they're shredded.
Oh, I don't have that.
Oh, sorry.
I love to throw a piece of clothing to the wind.
Yeah.
Not littering, let's be clear.
Okay, yeah. I just, I don't know. I feel this weird sense of guilt whenever I buy clothes.
Yeah.
Like it's just, so I do have nice clothes, but then I feel like a lot of my shirts, or like people will be like, you wear the same shirts all the time. And it's like, I'm trying actually to get out of it. I don't know what it is in my brain.
Yeah.
Whenever, I mean, I can buy food and Legos and books.
Yeah.
But like clothes, there's this part of me that feels so awful.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
I mean, yeah, I have had to forgive myself a lot because, I started being like, it's not wasteful when you get rid of it. It was wasteful when you bought it because I used to buy stuff and then never wear it and then be like, well, I can't get rid of it. I should just keep it here forever. Sorry, I burped.
You're good.
But I think that I'm trying to just be more calm when I buy clothes, which is easier now that I have a little more money and also easier now that I love myself a little more in my body.
Yeah.
Because I think I used to go to the mall.
Yeah.
And I would try on something. And if it even looked like remotely normal, like the way it fit me, even if I didn't really like the way it looked, I just didn't have the ability to know if I liked how I felt in it. I only had the ability to be like, it fits.
Yeah.
So I should buy it. And I would have this like panic, like with jeans where I was like, well, I should just buy it because it fits. Like there's no other, it doesn't matter if I hate the way it looks. It just is normal and I could wear it outside.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to really push myself to be like, unless you are obsessed with it, then you shouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
And I've tried to like dress stuff up a little more, style stuff a little more. But I am like, I've had to forgive myself a lot because I think my style has just changed so much.
Yeah.
Like, there's shirts that I bought a year ago that I'm just like, yeah, I know I'm never going to wear that now. And I'm like, once I get my boobs taken away, I'm gonna have to go on a shopping spree.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even think about that until recently. I was like putting on the shirt I really like and I was like, I'm just not gonna be able to wear this shirt anymore.
I mean, you could get it taken in,
I guess, but it would be a lot. I have really big boobs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I feel like people don't know because I strap them down pretty hard, but I'm like a double D.
Oh my God, I'm all nip.
It's like a huge nipple.
Well, I just know I'm not
Your
big.
whole chest is just two nipples.
It's just Naomi and I have like a weird end of like a shopping experience that's weird. I'm like this size right before it gets into sizes they don't carry.
Yeah.
So I always go to the mall with this uncertainty. And then Naomi is incredibly small, but they're masked and they've had top surgery.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can't find anything that fits, or it's very hit or miss. So when we go shopping together, we're both like, I don't know if anything will be for us.
Yeah.
We'll look at shoes, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. I mean, that's Chappell Roan. Is anything else you want to quickly say before we wrap it up?
No, everyone's just like, in today's turbulent climate, it's not enough for artists to be good at their craft. People care more about artists using their platforms to spread love and to speak about what they stand for. I mean, I feel like that's pretty good. Identity is political. And so a lot of people, they're like, when people say comedy is not political, comedy is tendentious or non-tendentious. Tendentious means conveying an opinion, often a controversial one. And so there is non-tendentious comedy, which is like falling down and like farting, which doesn't really have an opinion. But people who say comedy is not political, no, your identity is political. And you're also, when you're a comedian, you're like, have you guys ever noticed how this is a lot like this? They are trying to convince you of their perspective, right? And what is more important to your point of view than your identity, your politics.
Yeah.
And so the reason why people don't think comedy is political is because they've been watching a lot of white guys who do not have to examine their identity.
Yeah.
But geez, you listen to any comedian of color, any female comedian, and you're like, why did this get so political? Because they're talking about their identity, dude.
Yeah.
Level up. So yes, Chappell Roan does get political, but okay, I can't even get into it anymore. And there is also there is non-tendentious comedy that is just more relaxing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's very cool. I think we're seeing something with Chappell Roan and honestly Sabrina Carpenter, although they feel very different, but that is really just like a person who you're like, you're going to be successful for a very long time.
Wait, but Sabrina has brought up a very important topic in her music. It's not gay related, but she's treating her boyfriend like a liability. And I've never seen a female singer acknowledge before he cheats or before he does anything fucked up, hey, don't, if you do, that's not on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that Barry.
Just a constant threat.
Yeah, so that's.
Her music is just a constant
I will
reprimanding.
break up with you.
Her boyfriend is like, "Did you write me a love song?" She's like, "No."
Yeah.
Sit down and listen.
I feel like they're not even married, but she has a prenup. Yes. If you fuck with my money, I will literally sue you.
I have to say about Sabrina Carpenter too. I'm obsessed with her.
Yeah.
Whenever I see footage of her, it makes me question everything about my body because I am like, how is your vagina not out of your pants?
Very short torso. She's like less than 5 feet.
But she wears these dresses where it ends before her butt. Do you know what I'm talking? Like it's so short, and she's so confidently. And Jordan's always like, well, they have tape and they have all this stuff, and I'm like, you could put a duct tape down there and it would not hold in like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing with different body sizes. Like how I could probably, like we talked about our chest, like I could probably do with like 2 little things of duct tape.
Yeah.
You would probably need
You'd have to take me into the wall, like those teacher pranks. Have you seen those? Yes. That's my bra. That's me strapping down my breasts every morning.
Wait, that would actually be so funny, doing a full stand-up performance duct tape to a wall.
Oh, man. Well, thank you so much for being here, everyone. If you haven't checked out Chappell Roan, I mean, you have.
Where have you been?
I'm sure if you listen to this podcast, you're probably listening. You probably have us muted and already listening to Chappell Roan. So, if you haven't, please do. And also check us out. Here we are. We're in, if you are on YouTube, look at this. My YouTube sweatshirt.
Oh, wow.
I have a YouTube sweatshirt. If you're on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts, make sure to rate us, review us positively.
Yeah, up.
Please, up. And I hope you have a wonderful week. And Sarah, I hope you have a wonderful week.
I hope you have a great week, Kendahl.
Bye.
Bye.